All right, so today we're gonna look at how to make decisions with our code. So if we're writing a program and we want to make a decision, how are we gonna go about making that choice? Okay, and so we'll start this off simple. We're gonna get user input from the user, and we'll say input what let's see. What should we ask? We should say, what month is it? All right. And we're just going to see if it's December. So we're going to say if, well, so, okay. So we're going to print this first. So print user input. Okay, so I'm going to run this. So Python and then the name of my file. Okay, I'm going to say February. Okay, and it prints it out. Right? Let's go ahead and get a space right there. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to make a decision. So we're going to say if user, let's change it, right? Let's call this month. If month. And so what we want to do is, we're going to take a step back. We'll say, let's say if they say that the month is December, we can print out that the year's almost over or something like that, you know. Otherwise, we can say, oh, it's not, the year's not almost over yet. Something simple like that. Okay? And so what we want to do is anytime we make a decision in Python or in other programming languages, what we're going to do is we use something called an if statement. And so we just type if. And after that if, we make a comparison. Okay? And here's some comparisons that we can make. Okay? You can do, and I'll just make a comment up here. So, we can check to see if a number is greater than something else. We have greater than. We have greater than or equal to. We have less than or equal to. And then one that's really important for us is this one, the same as. And then we also have not. And so not, and then we'll look at that one later. Okay. So the one that we're going to use right now is we want to see if they are the same. So we're going to say the same as. And so we're going to say if month is the same as February, or we'll say December, and then we can say print the year is almost over. And then we're just going to print this line that says end of program. Just for understanding how these ifs work. Okay? So what's going to happen here, there's a couple things I want to point out here as we watch this. So when we run this, we type in that month. So we're gonna type in a month, and if it's December, we're gonna do that. And so what happens in the execution is it runs this line, and then it runs this line where it makes a check. If this check is true, so this when we do this comparison operator, we're gonna either get that this is true, that they're the same, or false, that they're not the same. Okay, so remember, a single equal sign is assignment, two equal signs is comparison. So we assign it to month, then we compare them. And when we compare them, we want to see if they're the same. If they're the same, then this evaluates to true. And if this evaluates to true, then it is going to actually execute the code that's like tabbed over here. Okay, so anything that's tabbed here, it's going to do, and then it's going to resume operation here. Okay, so if I do this, oh, all right. So let's say I put February, right? And it just says end of programs, right? It didn't print this part, so it skipped this line. Okay. If on the other hand I type in December, then it gives us the line that says the year is almost over, right? And so in the case that this evaluated true, in the case that the value stored in month matched this value December, then we got this statement printed out. Otherwise, it just skips right over it. Okay. So some other things to think about. What happens if I type in December but I don't capitalize it? It doesn't recognize it, right? And so when it's checking here, it's checking to see that it's an exact match. And so what we can do here is we're going to say month dot to dot upper. Okay, and what this does is it converts it to all capitalized. And so we're going to do it for both of them. And so now it's going to take that input and it's going to capitalize it in the comparison. And now it doesn't matter if I capitalize or not. So now if I say December, it still worked. Okay. And so the next thing I want to show you is this. We can have, maybe we want to say, if it's December, we say the year's almost over. Maybe we want to say something else in case it's not December. And so the way we do that is we add something here called an else. So in order to have an else, we have to first have an if. But we can have an if and not have an else, right? We can just have this if, and then it skips to, when it's done, it skips over here. If it's not true, it just ignores it. In this case, if we have an else, if this is not true, then it's going to evaluate this block instead. Now notice there's no conditions here. If this is not true, then it's going to just do this. Okay, so I say print the year is not almost over yet. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and we'll leave that in there for just one more time. So I'm going to say it's January. It says the year's not almost over yet. We'll type in November. The year's not almost over yet. December. And then it says the year is almost over. Okay? And so the key points here is this. When we have an if statement, it makes a check. Okay? And if it's true, it's going to execute the code there. If it's not, it's just going to skip on to the rest of the program. If we have an else case, then if it's true, it does this part. If this is false, it does this part, and then it continues on with the rest of the program. Okay, so these are if and else statements. All right. Another thing to think about is we can do this with numbers, right? So let's say number equals input. Please enter a number, and then let's say we want to convert it to an integer, so we're going to say int, just like that. Okay, and so remember this takes the value that we get back from input that is text and turns it into a number and stores it there as number. And we're going to say if number is less than or equal to 5, we're going to say print this number is less than or equal to 5. And then we can have an else here and say print this number is greater than 5. Okay. Oh, and if we want, you can make this into an F string, right? I could say number. Okay, and now it'll actually print the number there. So let's run it now. Please enter a number. It's number 4. It says 4 is less than or equal to 5. Run it again. Please enter a number. Put in the number 7. It says 7 is greater than 5. Okay? And there you have it. So these are if statements and else statements, and you know, using them with numbers there. And so this should set you up to kind of try out the next couple of challenges here.